your brain left your body. You were there. It wasn't. You drive somewhere and arrive with no memory of the road. Someone is speaking to you and you are watching yourself listen, from somewhere slightly outside your own skull. A whole hour passes and you have no idea where you went. This is not tiredness. This is not being distracted. Something specific built this. Something specific turned it on. And the moment it started, you were there. You just do not know yet that is what you were seeing. If you have spent your whole life telling yourself, nothing happened, I had a fine childhood, I shouldn't complain, this channel exists for exactly that sentence. Because that sentence is not the truth. It is the adaptation. Across these videos we have been tracing one thing, the gap between how your life looks and how it feels to be inside it. Today we go somewhere most of these conversations never reach. Today we go to the exact moment your brain made a decision, without asking you, that it has been running ever since. On the outside, you function. You pay what needs to be paid. You show up where you are supposed to show up. People would describe you as capable, reliable, self-sufficient. Some would call you strong. And inside, something is missing. Not in the way that something was taken. In the way that something was never fully there to begin with. A flatness. A distance. The feeling of watching your own life play out from slightly behind a glass. You have been in the middle of a good moment, something that should register as joy, and felt nothing. A kind of blankness where the feeling should have been. And you have probably wondered, on quiet nights, in the space before sleep, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just be here? Why does being present feel like work? Here is what nobody tells you about that question. Those feelings do not come from nothing. Feelings like those have an origin. They have a mechanism. They have a moment, a specific, ordinary, completely forgettable moment, when your brain looked at what was around it and made a choice. Or maybe it showed up differently for you. Someone said something kind, genuinely kind, and instead of feeling it, you felt suspicious of it. Like there was a catch. Like it could not possibly be real. Like you needed to figure out what they wanted before you let yourself believe them. That is not cynicism. That is a nervous system that learned that warmth was unpredictable. That learned to brace instead of receive. And you have probably spent years believing that something is fundamentally wrong with you for not being able to just accept good things. There is nothing wrong with you. There is something that happened to you. And I want to show you exactly what it was. I want to show you that moment. You were in that room. You were watching. You just did not have the language yet for what you were watching. Here is the moment. It was not a bad day. It was not a crisis. It did not feel like anything significant when it happened, which is exactly what made it so effective. You were small. Maybe 5. Maybe 7. And something happened, or more precisely, something did not happen that should have. You were upset. Not catastrophically. Just upset. The way a child gets upset. And the adult who was supposed to come, did not. Not because they were cruel. Not because they did not love you. But because something in them did not know how to come. Was themselves never taught how. So the moment passed. Quietly. Without event. And your nervous system, which was tracking everything, which had been waiting, which had been calibrating, registered something it would never say out loud. This feeling is not safe to have here. Not, I am not loved. Not, something is wrong with them. Your system was too young for that conclusion. What it registered was simpler. More automatic. More efficient. Feelings, particularly feelings that need something from someone, are a problem with no solution. So the most intelligent thing this system could do was begin, quietly, to leave. That is clue 1. Fast forward 10 years. You are older now. Better at things. Competent in ways that other kids your age are not yet. You learned, without anyone teaching you, how to manage. How to need less. How to read a room and make yourself smaller or more useful, or more agreeable depending on what that room seemed to require. You stopped waiting for people to ask how you were. Because you had learned, with a precision that would impress any scientist, that the answer to that question was mostly not what people actually wanted to hear. So you produced a different answer. A fine. A good. And I'm okay. And you produced it so fluently that after a while you stopped knowing the difference between the performance and the thing underneath it. You were not lying. You were surviving. You became the person who notices when someone in the room is uncomfortable, before they do. You walk into a space and within 60 seconds you have assessed every person in it. Not because you are curious. Because you learned very early that knowing kept you safe. You became the person who gives more than they receive. Not out of generosity, out of a calculation so old you forgot you were making it. If I am useful enough, needed enough, easy enough to be around, maybe this time something will stay. You became the person who apologizes first. Even when nothing was your fault. Even when you were the one who was hurt. These were not personality traits you were born with. These were survival strategies a child invented in the dark. And you have been running them ever since. Fast forward again. You are an adult now. The competence is real. The self-sufficiency is real. The distance is also real. And here is what nobody tells you about that adaptation. The part of you that built it, that child version of your nervous system, they thought they were solving a problem. They were. They were extraordinarily good at it. The problem is, they never stopped. That solution is still running. In every room you enter. In every moment someone gets close. In every time you reach for a feeling and find yourself arriving somewhere outside your own body instead. That is clue 2. Here is the part nobody talks about. Dissociation, that word sounds clinical. Psychiatric. Like something that happens to other people in extreme circumstances. So let me tell you what it actually is. It is your brain doing its job. When your nervous system, as a child, encountered an emotional experience that was too large to process and too unsafe to express, it did what any sophisticated system does when it encounters a problem with no available solution. It left. Dr. Stephen Porges's research on the nervous system shows this clearly. When the person who is supposed to soothe you becomes the source of the pain instead, the system does not reach toward people. It moves away from the body entirely. Away from the feeling. Away from the room. Away from you. Think about the last time someone asked you how you were doing. Really asked? Not the passing question in a hallway. The kind where they stopped, and looked at you, and actually wanted to know. Notice what happened inside you in that moment. For most people who are watching this, something tightened. Something deflected. A fine came out before you even decided to say it. Not because you were being dishonest. Because the part of you that answers that question learned, a very long time ago, that the honest answer was not safe to give. That tightening, that automatic redirect, that is the exit. Still open. Still working. Still protecting you from something that stopped being a threat years ago. But your nervous system does not know that yet. Your brain learned that being present, being fully, emotionally, vulnerably present, was where the pain lived. So it built you an exit. And then, because it was trying to protect you, it left that exit open. Always. That is clue 3. 3 clues. 1 origin. And it has been with you since before you had any words for it. You were not born disconnected. You were not born hollow. You were not born watching your own life from behind glass. You were born with a nervous system that was extraordinarily responsive, sensitive, tracking, precisely calibrated to the people around it. And that system, in the absence of consistent emotional attunement, did the most intelligent thing available to it. It learned to leave before it could be left. What you are living with is called childhood emotional neglect. Not abuse. Not trauma in the way most people use the word. Something quieter than that. Something that happens not in the moments that occur, but in the moments that never did. The attunement that never came. The feelings that were never asked about. The version of you that needed something specific, and learned, eventually, to stop needing it. That is what built the exit. That is what has been keeping it open. Now, here is what changes when you know this. The disconnection is not a character flaw. It is a learned route. Your brain built a pathway, the same way it builds any pathway, through repetition, through reinforcement, through the perfectly reasonable logic of a system trying to keep a child safe. That pathway is still there. You will not erase it by understanding it. But understanding it changes something specific. It changes what the disconnection means when it happens. Before today, when you found yourself somewhere outside your own body, watching yourself in a conversation, driving with no memory of the road, sitting in a moment that should feel like something and feeling nothing, you probably had a familiar response to that. Some version of, "What is wrong with me?" Tonight, the next time it happens, try something different. Just notice it. Do not push it away. Do not explain it. Do not spiral into what it means about you. Just notice it. And say, inside to yourself, "There it is. I know what that is." That is the exit my brain built when it had no other option. Notice it has a name. Because here is what understanding does, even when it does not fix anything immediately. It creates distance between you and the pattern. Just a fraction. Just enough that the next time you find yourself watching your life from behind glass, you are not drowning in it. You are observing it. And that observer, that part of you that can notice, that part was always there. It did not leave. It was just never given a name for what it was watching. Now it has one. The next video goes somewhere most conversations about this never reach. Because understanding what happened, and understanding what you did in response, are two different things. What you did in response, you did not choose it. But it became the way you move through the world. Through relationships, through closeness, through every moment someone tries to get near the part of you that learned to leave. And it is still running. Right now. In every room you enter. You already know something is there. You have felt it. You just have not seen the shape of it yet. Next time, you will.